It's time. Time to pick every spread and every total for every Week 8 NFL game. Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and degenerates. It's Mitch here, and it's time to make some money. If that sounds good, don't forget to Gronk, spike the like. And we're trying to hit 2K here on Money Mitch, so don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel. As always, let me know your opinion on every game. Where am I right and where am I wrong? I actually like to see your opinion. So let me know. And let's get started picking every spread and every total, beginning with Thursday night. Thursday night football features Chargers at home and the Minnesota Vikings on the road at the Chargers. This was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy versus Jim Harbaugh. The spread, 3.5, Chargers favored at home. Total, 44.5. Now, a big injury that could impact this game is Joe Alt, left tackle of the Chargers. He has been out for a minute. I think he went down during that Giants game, which then began the spiral for the Chargers this season. They were a great team before that. Herbert was playing his best ball maybe of his career. Everybody was celebrating Justin Herbert. And then Joe Alt goes down and they can't block a soul. It will be a problem if he doesn't play, because you know Brian Flores is going to bring the simulated pressures. He's going to bring the amoeba looks. He's going to have some pretty clever ways to get pressure on Justin Herbert. But if Joe Alt does play, it might be the best offensive line the Chargers have had in quite some time, and that would totally change this matchup. For the Vikings, Christian Darrisaw is questionable. I do believe he will play, but he did not participate on Wednesday in practice. So just throwing that out there. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on both left tackles for each team before you decide to bet this game. The Vikings have also had a pretty beat-up offensive line. Brian O'Neill, their center, Ryan Kelly, their left guard, rookie Donovan Jackson, all of them have missed time. I do believe that the Vikings offensive line is going to be fully intact for this game outside of Ryan Kelly at center, but I don't think that's a huge loss. Van Ginkel being out for the defense still hurts their pass rush and their playmaking capabilities. But the biggest thing I've seen from the Vikings defense is their secondary simply can't hang with good quarterback play, good downfield passing, and really good receivers, as we saw against the Eagles. Now, Jalen Hurts had tons of time to operate, buy time, and find throws down the field. Will Herbert have that same time? That's why Joe Alt is so key. If he does, he will be able to dice up this secondary no matter how good Flores is, because these corners can't cover Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston for very long. Now you've got that new rookie tight end, Gladstone or something like that. He's looking pretty sexy out there too. So the Los Angeles Chargers have a potent pass attack. They don't have as much balance as they did with Hampton, but they're still capable of running the ball and providing a bit of balance against a defense in Minnesota that struggled a bit with the run. It's looked a bit better lately, but Saquon and the Eagles haven't been able to run on anybody, so I'm not sure how much I can really gauge that performance. Offensively for Minnesota, they can move the ball up and down the field. Their problem is red zone. Their problem is turnovers, right? So it makes them compelling on the surface to take Minnesota with 3.5, because you look at Brian Flores, you look at the pressure they could put on Justin Herbert, right, with the simulated pressures and stuff. But at the same time, people are like, well, they could have beat the Eagles. Like, they outperformed them, they outgained them, they had more first downs, they got to the red zone 6 times, they only produced 1 score. But the thing is, the Chargers are really good in the red zone too, defensively. Right, the Chargers are getting healthier defensively with Khalil Mack coming back, right? And the front seven, hypothetically, should be pretty solid with Oweh in there for another week, Tooley as well, and Tart, and they should be good with Henley at linebacker, Derwin James. Like, they should be a pretty good defense. Now, maybe they've just ran into some absolutely awesome offenses. You have to consider that, right? Like the Colts have been unstoppable. And the Colts are an antidote to the Chargers defense because they can run the ball and smash the ball down your throat and in your face. And that's what we talked about last week, why we like the Colts. I don't think the Vikings are capable of doing that same thing. They've tried to do that with Jordan Mason, but has it been successful? I'm not really sure it has been, right? Carson Wentz probably can move the ball a bit in this game, but he gets a little too antsy and he tries to force throws that are not there. And the Chargers defense plays a lot of zone. It's very conservative. They play too high coverages. They're not going to allow Justin Jefferson to beat them down the field. It's going to have to take smart, deliberate, consistent quarterback play. And Carson Wentz is none of those things, right? So the Chargers are at home. Chargers should get Joe Alt back. Chargers have the weapons to get after a secondary of the Vikings that I don't think is very good. I think they can move the ball. I think they can score points. And I think it will come down to maybe even the red zone success. And I lean Chargers in that direction. So I like Los Angeles to cover and obviously win. 44.5 is interesting. I could see this being right around 24-20 or 24-17. I could see it floating around this number. But I'm going to lean over for the fun of it on Thursday night. There's been a little bit of randomness on Thursday in recent weeks. The 49ers upsetting the Rams in a higher scoring game than projected, right? The Giants scoring 30 on the Eagles. There's always injuries that impact these games, which leads to more points, it feels like. And Carson Wentz is a wild man. Maybe he completes some big plays. Maybe he throws a pick six. So I'm going to go with the over, but I'm not too confident on the total. But I do like the Chargers in this game quite a bit. We've been pretty accurate on Thursday Night Football so far this year. It's not typically a game that I like to bet because it's early in the week and the rest for the teams and stuff like that. But I think the Minnesota Vikings are not a very good team with not a very good quarterback. And really, they don't do anything particularly well. The Chargers at least have Justin Herbert and a pretty damn good passing attack. So I'll lean on that to get the victory here on Thursday Night Football. Now let's shift our attention to Sunday where we don't have a London game or a Europe game. Thank you, heavens. We've got the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are at home -7.5. Total is 43.5. Now, when looking at some of the injuries for this game, it's going to be hard to know, on a Wednesday. But the Giants, Paulson Adebo at corner did not participate. Brian Burns did not participate. And Javon Holland, who missed last game, did not participate. That hurts them in the secondary. Brian Burns is a massive injury, but I think he'll be okay to go. Paulson Adebo might be the one that's a little bit concerning if he does not go in this game. I'm going to actually look that up for you guys because I think that's a significant injury. Because if Paulson Adebo can't go against A.J. Brown, right, that's exactly what the Eagles have going for them on offense right now. So he misses practice on Wednesday. I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Knee injury in the third quarter. That's going to be one to watch for sure. That's a big injury because he is a guy that can at least hang with A.J. Brown. If they have to put Banks on the field, that's concerning because Banks can't play. He can't play. He's terrible. So you have to watch that Paulson Adebo injury. For Philadelphia, guys, remember Philadelphia, they had a lot of injuries in that game against the Giants last time, right? They had Quinyon Mitchell go down in the game, which forced Kelly Ringo and Adoree Jackson to play on the outside at cornerback. Concerning, right? They had injuries up front. Jalen Carter didn't play. Now, A.J. Brown didn't participate on Wednesday, but I expect him to play. Adoree Jackson didn't participate, which I don't know if that's even an issue. Cam Jurgens didn't participate. Their center, that's a pretty big deal. But otherwise, the Eagles are mostly healthy. I might also remember that Landon Dickerson didn't play that game on Thursday night a couple weeks ago. It's interesting that this game is being played so close together. But I lean Philly. Definitely, I think they're going to win this game. The problem is, will they cover this game? Right? Like, the Giants convincingly whooped the Eagles. I don't think that was really like a fluke. I think the biggest part that might be different is that the Eagles with Jalen Carter might be able to get more pressure and therefore might be able to contain Jackson Dart from scrambling and moving a bit better, right? And then also, The Giants, I think they're still going to be able to get a little bit of pressure home on the Eagles, better than most teams because they have such a good front seven. And the Eagles are struggling to run the ball, which is the Giants' weakness. The Giants have ran the ball decent this season. Jalen Carter, once again, though, multiplying force in the run and pass game. He helps them stop the run of Cam Scatterbo. So I don't think that will be quite as successful. Little Jordan Humphrey went crazy in that game a couple weeks ago. This is a challenge. I am not a huge believer in either of these teams. I'm not a huge believer in either of these quarterbacks. I'm not a huge believer in the Eagles laying 7.5 against most NFL teams right now because their offense is very inconsistent. But if Paulson Adebo does not play, I think this is where they might be able to cover because I think they will be able to make plays down the field. And Jalen Hurts was very bad against the Giants. If he plays anywhere close to how he played against the Vikings, they'll probably cover this game because I think if he hits those deep shots down the field, they're going to be able to win this game and cover. Because I think that the defense is going to play a bit better than it did. Vic Fangio, with one game to study, be able to make some adjustments, be able to get after the rookie a bit better, right? And then you also have to answer the question about the Giants after a really just tough loss against Denver. But they looked really impressive through like 3/4 of that game against Denver. So this is a challenging game, I think. 43.5. I'm going to lean over. Something's telling me go over here. I feel like Philly's defense has been inconsistent. The Giants' defense has some issues in the secondary right now. And that wild Denver finish maybe is influencing me. The deep balls from last week by Phillies may be influencing me. I don't know what to do with the spread. I definitely would not bet this game. 7.5. It's hard for me to get out of my head what the Giants were able to do to the Eagles last time. But something is telling me the Eagles. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win, the Eagles to cover. I don't love it. I'm not a huge fan of the Eagles this year. I think they're overrated. But I'll take the over. I'll take the Eagles. It might be kind of like that Vikings game where they found a way to cover. They found a way to win. It went over. But they really didn't play that well. They kind of got outplayed. Like, that could happen again. But I just think the Eagles hit some explosives that the Giants don't. And it's in Philly. And the Giants have been a little bit worse on the road. So I'll take Philly here. Next, the Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons. Total is 44.5. Atlanta minus 7.5. Now, last game it was a bit tricky for me to calculate. I like the Atlanta Falcons here. I like them to win. I like them to cover. At 44.5, I'm going to go under because there's uncertainty with Michael Penix, and there's also uncertainty with Miami scoring points. I'm not sure how long Divine Diablo will be out, the Atlanta Falcons linebacker, who's a darn good football player. He missed a good portion of the game against the 49ers. I don't expect him to play, just like through what I saw of his injury. But I still think Atlanta does have a really good defense, and I think they've proven that throughout this season. And I don't think the Dolphins are going to score more than 17 points. Tua is struggling. They can't throw the ball down the field. Atlanta has one of the best blitzing defenses led by Caden Ellis, their middle linebacker in the NFL. I do think A.J. Terrell can shadow a Jalen Waddle, and I do think that this Falcons defense, led by the former Jets defensive coordinator, who have a lot of familiarity with Tua, with Mike McDaniel, with their system, is going to be able to, and they also just played Kyle Shanahan. So I feel like Atlanta can slow down that passing game of the Miami Dolphins. Darren Waller on IR, so that takes away another weapon from them. They really only have Jalen Waddle who can actually separate and make plays now on this offense. And in the run game, Miami, I just don't think has that power element that San Francisco was able to utilize against Atlanta. So I think they're really going to struggle to move the ball. And Tua is just playing terribly right now. Throwing the ball to the other team, you know, his arm is just an absolute, like, joke. Like, he can't put any mustard on the ball. And I look at Atlanta, and I think you can just hand the ball to Bijan 30 times, and you should be able to score 24 points. Like, Miami's defense is atrocious against the run. They will have issues covering Drake London with their secondary in this game. And then Darnell Mooney is healthy. He brings that speed and vertical element, so you can't sell out to stop Bijan. Kyle Pitts has looked really good this year. Honestly, it doesn't really matter if it's Michael Penix, if it's Kirk Cousins. It doesn't really matter, bro. I think that they're going to win this game. I think they're going to cover. The Atlanta offensive line at tackle right now is a bit susceptible because they have injuries there, but it's not like Miami has a pass rush. So count on Bijan Robinson to be able to run the ball. That allows Michael Penix or whoever the quarterback is to be successful throwing the ball in good down and distance. And I just think Atlanta's defense is going to dominate. So I think Atlanta wins. I think Atlanta covers, and I like the under 44.5 here. The concern with Atlanta is really their consistency of their passing game and their quarterback play. And so I think that allows Miami to get a couple stops, and maybe some red zone stops. Atlanta needs to learn how to throw the ball in the middle of the field. But the thing is, against a team like Miami, who plays a lot of zone, right? And they rather play a lot of zone or they just blitz everybody. So you're rather going to be able to pick your matchups on the outside to Kyle Pitts or to Drake London. And then you've got the zone coverages where I feel like Penix is going to be able to hit some sideline routes. So I like Atlanta here to win, Atlanta to cover, and I'll go with the under. Next, 44.5 for the Jets and the Bengals. 6.5 is the total, the spread for Cincinnati. So Cincinnati minus 6.5. The total is 44.5 to correct myself there. Now, early in the week, a day or two ago, I said, how do you not take the Jets at this number? It's just an outrageous number against Joe Flacco and the Bengals. The Bengals have had 10 days to prepare for this game and get ready for this game. And there are some significant injuries on the Jets. The Jets have made the quarterback change, though, thankfully, because now we don't have to watch Justin Fields play. When looking at the injury report for the New York Jets, Sauce Gardner did not participate. Garrett Wilson did not participate. That's their two best players at corner and wide receiver on the perimeter. Otherwise, Breece Hall was limited, should play, right? Everyone else is, irrelevant. For Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson limited. That means he could play. That's a big deal. And this is honestly a very important game for the Bengals. If the Bengals do win this game, they're 4-4. And it puts them in position to actually have a chance at the end of the year. If they can get to 6 wins by the time Joe Burrow comes back, they actually have a chance to make the playoffs, believe it or not. So this is the game that Cincinnati has to win. And it's also in Cincinnati where I feel like their defense has played a bit better this year. Cincinnati does not have a very good defense, but I think they play pretty hard. And the Jets have no weapons to speak of. They have no receivers. Mason Taylor might find some success over the middle of the field. Maybe the Jets run the ball pretty well. Tyrod Taylor will dink and dunk, but he has no explosiveness to the passing game. He's a dink and dunk passer. He's not a downfield guy. And they don't have a weapon to hit down the field. And then you look at the other side. The Jets tend to play a lot of man. If they play man coverage without Sauce Gardner against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they're going to get fried by Joe Flacco, who's going to get the ball out quick, and it won't allow the pressure to get there. Chase Brown ran the ball better last week, but the Jets are good against the run. I actually, believe it or not, I think I have to go with the Bengals. Minus 6.5. I think they win by a touchdown. At 44.5, that's a tricky one because do you really trust the Jets to be able to move the ball enough and score points with their number one receiver being Josh Reynolds? Do you really trust that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I would not bet this because I could easily see, you're basically playing the game of, do you think the Bengals defense can stop the Jets as bad as they are? Or do you think that the Bengals defense is so bad that the Jets will actually be able to move the ball? But if Trey Hendrickson is back and playing in this game, I think I'll take the under. Because I don't know, the Bengals probably could play this pretty conservatively. If they can get to 24 points, they probably win this game. Maybe they have to push it to 27. But I'm going to go Bengals to win, Bengals to cover, under 44.5. But I don't know about that one, man. That one's tough. Next, the New England Patriots and the Cleveland Browns. This has become the Bet on Patriot podcast here. Now, looking at the injury report, Jerry Jeudy did not participate. That is pretty interesting. I mean, that's their number one receiver. Otherwise, the Browns look mostly healthy. Their tackle position is pretty beat up. It has been all year. For the Patriots, they're a very healthy team right now. The only real concern for them has been the safety position. One of their starters, rookie Craig Woodson, did not participate. That would just force Kyle Duggar into the lineup, which honestly, Kyle Duggar would be fine in this matchup because he's a very good tackler. So against a team that likes to run the ball, they would be fine. But Jalen Hawkins has been out and he has been missed, but he is full participant, so he is back at safety. Otherwise, the Patriots are very healthy. Harold Landry, limited. Same as Christian Barmore, Stephon Diggs. They'll all should be able to go. Christian Gonzalez, full participant, which is a big deal because he's been mostly limited. So, Patriots are healthy. Patriots are at home. Patriots are rolling. They come back home after 3 straight road victories. They play a Browns team that is much better at home than they are away. Cleveland does have the best defense the Patriots have played all year. They have one of the best front fours. They have a very elite run defense. And they have a very good pass rush led by Myles Garrett and Malik Collins. I just think you take the Patriots here because when you look at it, I think that Josh McDaniels schematically can limit the pressure that Cleveland is able to get on Drake May. You trust Drake May to be able to make the right read and rip the ball against man coverage. I think that the Patriots can take advantage of some matchups in this game, whether it be Stephon Diggs or Hunter Henry at tight end. And I don't think the Patriots will really be able to run the ball in this game, but I think that they'll get enough explosive passes because Drake May has just been so good throwing the ball down the field this year. And Cleveland, they're very aggressive defensively, so they will give up big plays down the field. So it might not be as high success rate for the Patriots offense as we're used to seeing where Drake May is like 91% completion, but he'll probably be able to throw the ball down the field and hit some home runs or maybe even run himself. So I expect some big plays by the Patriots, some explosives. And then on the other side, Cleveland has to run the ball to have success. I don't think they're running the ball against New England. The New England Patriots, I think, are the only team in the league who have yet to allow a 50-yard rusher. So that's a pretty big deal. I don't think Judkins will really go crazy here. The Patriots will be invested in stopping him and forcing Dylan Gabriel to make plays down the field. And I just don't think he can do it against this secondary. So I don't think the Cleveland Browns can keep up. And I think New England will be able to get enough pressure in passing situations to force some mistakes. So I think the Patriots continue to roll and continue to win. And I think they win like 24-10, something like that. I think they win by 2 touchdowns, 10 points. I don't think it will be like a sexy performance by Drake May this week, but I think it will be a professional victory by a good football team against a tough defensive team. So yeah, something like that. I think they win. I think they cover. This could be a best bet once again, but the Patriots in a teaser is a prime spot. I would throw them in with the Atlanta Falcons. Next up, we've got the Buffalo Bills, who might be also a teaser leg here. 45.5, Buffalo minus 7.5. They're on the road at Carolina off of the bye week. This is a big game for the Bills. They lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Falcons. And people are starting to question their legitimacy. The Bills are 4-2, but the Panthers have the same amount of victories. Carolina, they are what? At a fundamental level, right? Carolina at home has been good. They beat Dallas. They beat Atlanta. Two pretty good teams at home, okay? They were able to prove that they could win on the road despite it being a little bit disgusting against the Jets. The big headline here is that Bryce Young is out and Andy Dalton is in. And so that makes this game very difficult to bet. Because at a fundamental level, sure, I don't think Andy Dalton is much worse than Bryce Young if Andy Dalton is the player that we saw a couple years ago. But is Andy Dalton that player? Or is Andy Dalton washed? Because, guys, Andy Dalton's really old. Like, he's really old. So if he just fell off the face of the planet in this game, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, so the inability to know what Andy Dalton is makes this game really difficult to bet. Now, I am nearly 100% sure that the Bills will win this game because the Bills will be desperate to win this game. And a desperate Josh Allen is somebody I want to back, and I feel like they'll win this game. But Carolina is not an easy matchup for the Bills, in my opinion, because they're good at running the ball and they're physical on offense, and their defense is good at stopping the run. And the Bills, what do they do worst on defense? Stopping the run, specifically explosive runs. And on the other side, they need to run the ball to have success. And the Panthers have been really good against the run, including last week against the Jets, and even they shut down Devontae Williams and the Cowboys. And I feel like the Bills don't have the receivers to truly pick apart this Panthers secondary. J.C. Horn's playing great, but where they maybe can take advantage is by activating James Cook as a receiver, which has been super underwhelming. They need to throw him the ball. Dalton Kincaid, if he's back, will have a massive game here because Carolina can't cover him. Their linebackers are really, really bad. You have to throw the ball against the Panthers. You rather have to pick on Michael Jackson on the outside, or you have to pick on their linebackers. So I think there will be spots here, maybe even Khalil Shakir at that nickel spot where the Panthers aren't the strongest. So I think the Bills will be able to get enough success through the air. I want to see how they evolve, how they change, because it feels like defenses are starting to understand, we don't have to beat Josh Allen if we can beat their receiving core. So let's see if Joe Brady makes some adjustments, because I don't think this is a game they'll just be able to hand the ball off to James Cook and win. On the other side, again, I don't really know what Andy Dalton's going to bring, and I'm sure that the Bills are going to test that. So they're going to pack the box, and they're going to try to stop the run of Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. That's probably wise. I think Benford can hang with Tataroa McMillan, and it's going to be up to the other Panther receivers like Leggett and Coker to make some plays. I'm not sure if they're up to the task. I like the Bills to win this game. I'm not convinced that they will go to Carolina and whoop the Panthers, though. The Panthers are playing well, and the Panthers have played really well at home, so I will lean Carolina with 7.5 points. But I like the Bills to win this game. I would take them in a teaser. In terms of the over-under 45.5, I feel like this one could go either way. Looking at the injuries, Daquan Jones did not participate. Taylor Rapp did not participate for the Bills. Matt Milano was limited. Again, this is how good is Andy Dalton? So it's kind of tough, but I'm going to say that it goes over 45.5. I'm going to say that the Bills offense comes out and they get 30 on the board. So I'll go over 45.5. So yeah, I don't love it though. Next. 49.5 is the total for Chicago and Baltimore. Baltimore is favored by 6.5. Let's check the injury report because obviously that's pretty important for the Baltimore Ravens in any game that you bet on them with. So, looking at the Baltimore Ravens, Marlon Humphrey did not participate. Okay. Ronnie Stanley, full participant. Roquan Smith, full participant. Lamar, obviously playing this week, I think. Zay Flowers, full participant. Kyle Hamilton, limited. So Marlon Humphrey might be the guy that is out. Looking at Chicago, anyone important? DJ Moore did not participate. Cole Kmet did not participate. Tyreek Stevenson did not participate. DeAndre Swift did not participate. Interesting. Now, Chicago's defense has looked better to me in recent weeks, but I still feel like you can run the ball straight at Chicago and have success. I do. And if Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are healthy, that is an animal to stop on the ground, right? We know that to be the case. And the Ravens, when healthy, can score some points. Baltimore has had a terrible defense all season. Caleb is not playing great, but Ben Johnson is doing his best to make him play great. And Chicago's offense is moving the ball. When you look at the pass rush of Baltimore, mediocre to weak. The secondary could be a lot better if they do get Marlon Humphrey out there. You got Humphrey, Wiggins, Hamilton, Starks, and Gilman. It's a pretty good secondary, in my opinion. But can the Ravens stop the run, which has been troubling for them? And Chicago's really been able to run the ball, but DeAndre Swift's now banged up, so that's kind of a killer. This game is tough. Something is telling me, though, take the Ravens to win, take the Ravens to cover. Desperation spot. They're 1-5 off of a bye. Lamar is back. The fan base, the crowd in Baltimore will be fired up. Chicago's a better home team than road team. I do think that the Ravens secondary can make some plays in this game, in the pass game, against a beat-up offense of Chicago in terms of their weaponry with DJ Moore, with Cole Kmet, with DeAndre Swift. So let's go Baltimore to win, Baltimore to cover, even if it's by a touchdown, 31-24. I'll still lean the over because I need to see these defenses play better. I need to see it with my eyes. Now, Baltimore did play decent against the Rams defensively last time, but that was really based on the weather. A lot of these totals, man, are really tough. It's at 49.5 is not a low number at all. But I'm going to trust Ben Johnson, and I'm going to trust Lamar Jackson to get me some points in this game. So give me the over and Baltimore to win and cover. Like I said, something like 31-24. Next, San Francisco and Houston. Houston minus 1.5 at home. Give me the under in any Texans game to ever exist. Under 41.5. And then I'm going to take San Francisco, but it's really a criminal offense to bet a San Francisco game before Sunday because I have no idea who's playing. Like, the 49ers are playing practice squatters, but can we really pick the Texans at this point? There isn't even an injury report available for this game right now on NFL.com. Now, I do know the Niners. Ricky Pearsall, I don't know. Is he playing? Is he not playing? That would be huge if he does play. Mac Jones looks like he's going to start again. It looks like their center will be out for a couple weeks, but he's not very good, so I don't really think that changes anything. George Kittle is back, and that has activated the run game. Juwan Jennings played better last week. McCaffrey's an animal. Kendrick Bourne still has that rapport with Mac Jones. So it's still looking like the offense we saw against Atlanta will be the offense we see against Houston. Maybe Ricky Pearsall plays. Ayuk's still a couple weeks away. Defensively, though, the Niners are even more beat up. Lenore didn't practice today, although I think that's precautionary, but I could be wrong, and Lenore's their best corner. Renardo Green left the game last week, their other starting corner, and he didn't return, but he was limited at practice, so he might come back, he might not. Bryce Huff, the guy that changed the game for them against Atlanta off the edge, he's their best pass rusher without Nick Bosa. He's not going to play in this game for a couple weeks. So they have no pass rush with 4. They have to blitz, which against the Texans is not a bad idea because CJ Stroud fails to get the ball out on time, and the Texans can't pick up a stunt or a blitz. So Saleh will be in his bag in this game. There's no doubt about it. And without Nico Collins, I feel like the Niners might be able to replicate the game plan they had against the Atlanta Falcons, where they could just play man coverage on the outside and deal with it, right? Like, they played a lot of man against Atlanta, including Drake London. All their weapons were there. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and the Niners stood up and played well. You know, maybe they get Green there, or maybe they get Lenore in there. I'm suspecting at least one of these guys will play. I'm really impressed by some of their other secondary players, Mustafa being back, Chase Lucas, the way that he's playing. And then, you know, I feel like that young linebacker that stepped up for Fred Warner, Bethune, he looked really good. So I think the way that the Texans offensive line just gives up pressures against the blitz, I think the Niners will be okay in that department. And why I like the Niners to win this game, Kyle Shanahan's playing a disciple of him, you know, like the defense of D'Amico Ryans. He was the defensive coordinator of the Niners. So I think that Kyle will have a good idea of how to attack this defense, even if he doesn't have all the weapons to be able to do it. And even if the Texans at home are a terrifying defense against the pass. But I think that Kyle will understand that this is a heavy CMC game, heavy run game, just like it was against Atlanta. Run the ball, stay out of second and long, stay out of third and long. manage the game. And the Texans are going to have to be up to stopping the run here. The Texans, if they are susceptible anywhere on defense, it's against the run. And I also feel like George Kittle can have some success here. If he is good to go, 100%, he should have success in the receiving game as well. So, and McCaffrey out of the backfield. Like, I think that's where you can make some plays, is in that middle of the field in the passing game, where Mac Jones is most successful, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, and then run the ball straight ahead, get juice in there, 2 back, 2 tight ends, run the ball, play physical, and just manage the game and let your defense go to work and slow down CJ Stroud without Nico Collins, who's probably going to be out with a concussion. But that's a big deal. If Nico Collins does play, that changes the math. I like the Niners to win this game, though. I think they're the better team playing better football, even with all the injuries, and they're the much better coaching staff. The under 41.5 is self-explanatory. It's probably the best defense in football in the Texans at home against a beat-up Niners. And then the Texans can't move the ball. So I'm going to give the under and then the Niners. 47 is the total for Tampa and New Orleans. Tampa -4. Give me the under 47. Give me Tampa -4. I'm still uncertain with these Baker weapons on the outside. Tez Johnson has a lot of electricity to his game, but he needs to be smarter with his route running. Mike Evans out for the season, or at least until December. Emeka Egbuka beat up, but probably going to play. Chris Godwin out this week. Bucky Irving out this week. Bucs have numerous offensive line injuries, but this should be a bounce-back spot for Baker Mayfield. The Saints don't have a great pass rush. The Saints don't have a great defense in the pass game. They are stronger against the run. I think Baker's going to be able to do his thing against zone coverage. Detroit, played a lot of aggressive man-to-man, and they were able to get pressure home against Baker. I don't think the Saints fundamentally play that way, so I don't think they're going to have the same sort of success that they did, that the Lions were able to do against the Bucs, but we'll see. On the other side, I feel like Spencer Rattler imploded last week. They lost their center, Eric McCoy. They lost another running back from Keandre Miller. The Bucs defense, I do think, is good. I think it proved that against Detroit. They've got a very good secondary and group of cornerbacks. Their blitzes are effective and I think will rattle Rattler. And their run defense is awesome. So it's going to put Rattler in a lot of uncomfortable positions against Todd Bowles' blitzes. So, and just fundamentally, like, the Saints defense is healthier than their offense. The Bucs defense is healthier than their offense. So I lean under 47, which is still a pretty high number. And I'm going to go Tampa -4 because they're the significantly better team. And I'm not really fazed by the Bucs Saints sort of like mystique because it's not the same coaching staffs that we've seen in recent years where it was Sean Payton, where it was Dennis Allen, where the Saints had the number of the Bucs. No, this is a bounce back spot for the Bucs. So I'll take them to win. I'll take them to cover. I'll take the under. Next, 47 is the total for Tennessee and Indy. Indy -14. I'm going to take Indy to win, obviously. I'm going to lean over because, like, Indy has an incredibly damaged secondary. I actually liked some of the things I saw from the Titans offense, especially early against the Patriots, but then it just faded in the second half. And the Colts are a machine on offense. They should be able to score 30 here once again against a mediocre Titans defense to a bad Titans defense. They don't really do anything that well. They don't stop the run at a high level. They don't stop the pass at a high level. They don't rush the quarterback at a high level. They don't really do anything at a high level. It's just bad across the board. Jeff Simmons is beat up too. And I guess I'll go Indy -14, but I don't know. Let me think about that. Let me look at the injury report. I feel like that's a lot of points, and it's a divisional game. Arden Key didn't participate. Tony Pollard didn't participate. Calvin Ridley didn't participate. Jeff Simmons didn't participate. L'Jarius Sneed didn't participate. A very beat-up team. Kevin Zeiler didn't participate. The Colts, Epucam didn't participate. Tyquan Lewis, so a couple defensive linemen. Kenny Moore, their nickel corner, very good player, didn't participate. Braden Smith didn't participate. So some big injuries here, at least on Wednesday. But that's a long list for Tennessee. The way that the Colts are scoring, I just don't know if I can take the Titans +14 because, like, maybe this game lands on the number. Maybe it's like 31-17. But I kind of feel like the Colts are going to cover. They've been hammering bad teams. They hammered Miami. They hammered the Raiders. Tennessee is a similarly bad team. I thought they looked a little bit more competent against New England, but they still got absolutely demolished, I think by 18 points at home. So give me Indy to win. Give me Indy to cover. Next, Dallas. 50.5 is the total at Denver. Denver minus 3.5. I like Dallas, but let me talk through it. The total is 50.5. I think in every Dallas game, I have to lean over, but that's a high number for a Bo Nix-led offense. Looking at the injuries, Dallas actually looks pretty healthy. Trayvon Diggs didn't participate, but everyone else looks to be pretty good. Donovan Wilson also didn't participate. So 2 secondary players. For Denver, they only have 2 injuries, and neither of them didn't participate. So Kenny Clark was one of my concerns, but he's limited, so that's good. Overshown limited this week. I don't think he'll play this weekend, but he's a really good player. If he does end up playing, that's a big deal for Dallas. That could change their defense from a fundamental level. He's a really good linebacker. I want to fade Denver. I don't think Denver is a very good team. Now, Denver is a tough home field. Denver is a really good defense. Dre Greenlaw is suspended for this game, so that's a pretty big deal. He played last week, won't play this week. Their pass rush in Denver is really good. They do have Pat Surtain to potentially shadow probably George Pickens, because Pat Surtain doesn't typically travel into the slot, and that's probably where CeeDee Lamb will have a lot of success. I also think that Dallas, Jake Ferguson could have a good game here against those linebackers without Dre Greenlaw. And Dallas is just a really good offense. Like, they score points, period. Maybe they'll be held to like 24 or 27 against Denver, but then again, the Giants scored 30 plus. Dak might have to move a little bit more than he's used to here, but I kind of think like Dallas is going to make their plays. Can Denver keep up? That's the question. Denver's run game is mid. I think Dallas will be fine against that run game. And honestly, you can replicate the same game plan you did against Washington. Sure, Cortland Sutton is really good and he'll make some plays. But Denver's receivers aren't very good. You can play man coverage like you did against Washington and get away with it, because Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims are not great route runners. They're fast, but they're not great route runners. Evan Ingram is washed. And I just feel like Dallas, I like what I saw from them against Washington. And Bo Nix, he's inaccurate. He's inconsistent. He might hit a couple big plays. I'll lean over 50.5. And I'll take Dallas plus 3.5. I think they stay in this game all day. And I think it comes down to the last possession. So I like getting the 3 in the hook here. I don't think Denver is 3.5 points better than Dallas. Especially Dak Prescott against Bo Nix. You got to take Dak there. 45.5 is the total for Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh Steelers, Green Bay Packers. Packers minus 3. Could be 3.5. If we were 3.5, I would maybe even bet Pittsburgh. The total is 45.5. I will go over 45.5. I'm gonna take the Steelers. I just think this is one of those spots. Pittsburgh's at home. It's prime time. You got Renegade playing. Terrible towels flowing. Maybe Christian Watson comes back for the Packers, but I don't think that's gonna fix what their offense is right now, which to me is just, it's run game or it's bomb. It's run game or it's bomb or it's screen. They just have no intermediate passing game, which is really where you have to take advantage of the Steelers. I do think that against this offensive line at home, the Steelers can get some pressure on Jordan Love. And I do think that the Steelers can play some man coverage against the Packers receivers because they're not very good separators. Unless, like I said, Watson is 100%, which I don't think he will be his first game off an ACL. They don't have Jaden Reed. Golden beat us. That's what they're going to say. Like, Romeo Doubs can't really run routes to that degree. He's a jump ball guy. So I think Pittsburgh's going to be able to play some man, which is what they want to do. And I think they're going to be able to get some pressure with 4. And yeah, the Packers probably should have success running the ball. And the Packers will score points because the Steelers are not a very good defense. But these aren't Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's not, right? And then on the other side, I think that Rodgers and the Steelers offense is in some ways kind of made to dink and dunk their way down the field against the Packers. The Packers have a very good pass rush, but they're extremely susceptible in the secondary. I think DK Metcalf will make a lot of plays, and I feel like these tight ends will have some matchups, and I feel like they can get some yards after catch plays. The Steelers' run game has impressed me, and I feel like you can run the ball on the Packers. I think the Steelers are the play here. I like the Steelers to win. I like the Steelers to pull off the upset. The Packers, they have not impressed me lately, so I will take Pittsburgh. 45.5, I will go over. Monday Night Football, 47 is the total, 12.5 is the spread. Washington plus 12.5, too many points. 47, I'll go over. I think that Washington will surprise some people offensively in this game. I think they should be able to run the ball on the Chiefs. Marcus Mariota and Jaden Daniels, there's not as much separation as people believe in that conversation. And I do think there's a chance Washington gets a receiver back, whether it be Terry McLaurin or Deebo Samuel, for this big Monday Night Football game. It's a big game for the Commanders, too, because they don't want to drop to 3-5. Washington's defense is atrocious, but at least they can kind of sell out to stop the pass because Kansas City doesn't run the ball well. So there is that. And Kansas City's also a dink and dunk offense, and at least that won't really expose Washington's slow-ass linebackers as much. And maybe Dan Quinn, has something here for Patrick Mahomes. But I expect the Chiefs to score like 34 points, like 38 points. I just think that Washington will be able to keep up to a certain degree. Now, maybe we lose this by like half a point or a point. Maybe it's like 34-20 and we just miss. But I kind of think this is gonna be a little bit of like a funky, weird Kansas City falls behind early. They don't really take this game seriously. It's no Jaden Daniels. It's Marcus Mariota. Washington jumps out in front. Washington surprises people. Bill Krosky-Merritt's running all over the Chiefs, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs wake up, and then they throw the ball over the yard, and they come back. That's kind of the game that I think is going to happen here. And I do think that Marcus Mariota also can contribute with his legs, which will throw off the Chiefs a little bit. So I like the over here for sure. I think the over is the play. Over 47, but I'm going to take 12.5. It's just too many points. I mean, the Raiders were getting 12.5 last week, and the Raiders, I said Chiefs 100%. The Raiders are terrible. Washington's better than the Raiders. I know that for a fact. Okay? Washington will get more than 3 first downs. Okay? So those are my picks for week number 8. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Best bets coming soon. Peace.